Hey everybody, it's Robbie Rozelle, the A&R director of Broadway Records here for our second listening party experience. Today we have a legendary RuPaul's Drag Race queen who currently can be seen on TLC's Dragnificent. And 2 years ago, this month, so literally, we released her debut album. I'm so excited to talk to her about all things the album, all things Drag Race, all things Dragnificent. We're going to take some of your questions. We're very excited about the whole thing. And in fact, she's still getting a little ready because she did a full live given her makeup and we were gagged for it. So we're going to play the first track while she gets here. This is Beautiful from Alexis Michelle's album.
To get up every morning with a smile on your face and show the world all the love in your heart. Then people gonna treat you better. You're gonna find, yes you will, that you're beautiful as you feel. Waiting at the station with the workday window blowing, I've got nothing to do but watch the passers-by. Mirrored in their faces I see frustration growing, and they don't see it showing. Why do I? You've got to get up every morning with a smile on your face and show the world all the love in your heart. Then people gonna treat you better. You're gonna find, yes you will, that you're beautiful as you feel. Ask myself the reason for the sadness in a world where tears are just a lullaby. If there's any answer, maybe love can end the madness, maybe not, oh, but we can only try. You gotta get up every morning with a smile on your face and show the world all the love in your heart. And who's gonna treat you better? Yes, you will, that you're beautiful as you feel. You gotta get up every morning with a smile on your face and show the world all the love in your heart. Then people gonna treat you better. You're gonna find, yes, you will, that you're beautiful. You're beautiful. You're beautiful.
That's Alexis Michelle, Beautiful, from her album Lovefool, and she's here. Let's bring her in. Alexis!
Hi.
How are you?
I'm great.
What a joy to see you in full Norma getup.
Now, as the Broadway stands that you and I both are, please forgive this strange Norma moment, because as you can see, I am mixing Norma's first entrance robe with her Norma Goes to the Studio hat. I don't know why. I could have just as easily grabbed the turban, but I posted a photo in it earlier and I thought, let's give them some variety.
You know what? Mix it up. We're all in core.
Now,
just
speaking of mixing
and bake, up,
I am actually sharing the link to this listening party right now so that people can join us.
Amazing. I love that. We've got some people watching. Let's talk. So the album came out 2 years ago, like a week ago.
That's wild.
2 years ago. Isn't that insane? I was just like, let me just look up some quick facts. And there they were. Because for a bit, I didn't know you. And then suddenly you were everywhere in my life. everywhere.
I know. We both said when we met, we were like, how did we not know each other sooner?
We are truly Alice Ripley and Emily Skinner.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not saying which one's which, but we're Alice and Emily. And we did a whole bunch of things together. And then we released your beautiful album, Lovefool.
Look, I have one here too.
You do. Mine is actually signed and calls me a dream maker. I don't like to brag. You said it.
You are, though, because, you know, since I was 5 years old, I've wanted to be on Broadway, and that dream is still alive and well. And I spent years, you know, thinking about what my musical theater loving album would look like. And it really, putting this album together, it really was like that. I was like, okay, so this is the album that I'd put together, you know, as a Broadway star. Because I always say, like, I'm Broadway adjacent. I keep acting like I'm on Broadway till it actually happens.
Just Julia Murney in that situation until,
right.
Yeah, great. So let's talk about the album. You did it with Brandon,
my dear collaborator and friend, Brandon James Gwynn. I knew of Brandon James Gwynn for a while. Actually, he was a friend and collaborator of a girlfriend who I went to acting class with. He was also at the time in a relationship with one of my drag friends, and so I knew who he was. And then when my wonderful cabaret producer James Will McBride said, "Why don't you talk to Brandon James Gwynn?" And I was like, "Oh my God, yes! I don't know why I didn't think of that." And it was so Brandon and I went to brunch on the Upper West Side, and that was it. And then we've been working together for the past 3 years.
It's incredible.
I'm
so
just
we
our listening party as it's happening.
Yes, post it to the children. Post it to the kids. I want them to hear it. So the first song was Beautiful, the Carole King classic.
One of my
favorite you today?
Carole King. You know, Carole King, I've often wanted to like do a show that's literally just Tapestry. I could do all of Tapestry. There's Brandon James Gwynn.
Brandon is here and loving us, not mad.
We love Brandon the most.
Very difficult to look at, frankly.
Unfortunate looking, right?
Yeah.
Especially
okay, so
doesn't wear
beautiful.
So we, you know, I forget. You know, I think when we were putting my first show together for 54 Below, it was called It Takes a Woman.
Mm-hmm.
I could very easily, Robbie, probably like you, do a whole show of theater music.
Yeah, done.
But I like to mix it up because the truth is other kinds of music speak to me, not just theater music.
That's weird.
So in an effort to break it up, I have to go for, you know, current contemporary pop music like Carole King.
Sure. Just getting with the times of 1976. Fantastic.
You know.
But the next song on the album actually is contemporary musical theater.
Yes.
Because it's from Urinetown.
From Urinetown, which I saw when I was in high school at LaGuardia, the famed school.
We're going to talk about that.
And it just, you know, it was such a beautiful show. It was so funny with really one of the most iconic Broadway casts in memory, truly.
Did you see original cast or did you get like Carolee Carmello?
I saw original cast, although I would have loved to see Carolee Carmello too, because I stand Carolee Carmello very, very, very fiercely. But
where's her solo album?
Yes. But we love Nancy Opal. So yes, I saw OG cast.
Amazing. Well, let's listen to a little bit of Follow Your Heart from Urinetown.
When darkness surrounds you and you lose your way, you have your own compass that turns night to day, and it's even with you before you depart. Be still, hear it beating, it's leading you, follow your heart. We all want a world filled with peace and with joy, with plenty of water for each girl and boy. That bright shining world is just waiting to start. No meanness or sorrow, just cleanness tomorrow, if only you follow your heart. Follow into the open air, far from squalor and noise. Follow, someone is waiting there, someone who shares all your hopes and your joys. Someday I'll meet someone whose heart joins with mine, aortas and arteries all intertwined. They'll beat so much stronger than they could apart, 8 chambers of muscle to hustle the love in our heart. Love is kind and considerate. Love is peaceful and fair. Love can creep up so suddenly. When you least think of it, your love is there. We all want a world filled with peace and with joy, with plenty of justice for each girl and boy. That bright shining world is just waiting to start. No anger or badness, just laughter and gladness, if only you follow your heart.
Yes. I saw. Here's
Yeah.
what people aren't seeing right now is you swaying and singing along.
Oh, they can't see that?
No, but I'm obsessed. It's just for me. It's just for me. Also, you giving your own harmony in that song. Gorgeous.
Actually not. It's Brandon
What?
James Gwynn. Brandon James,
Brandon?
he made the arrangements,
Yeah.
played principal piano, he produced the album, and he did the backup vocals.
So he did nothing.
He
Is
didn't
what
do
I'm
it.
hearing. Weird. Weird. And that violin just weaving through it. Gorgeous.
And all of the musicians are handpicked, assembled by Brandon, and of course, our incredible engineer, Electropoint Music.
7 pieces. You've got 7 pieces behind you.
Yeah,
It's fantastic.
It was really important to me that we have, real instruments.
It's stunning. Okay, so let's talk, because right now you have Dragnificent on TLC.
Yes, we already had our season finale last Monday, but you can still watch the whole season on TLC's app, TLC Go. And
Second season?
we're hoping, we're waiting. So my message to everyone is get on social media and tell TLC that you want more hashtag more Dragnificent.
So number 1, go download Alexis's album Lovefool. Number 2, spam TLC and tell them more Dragnificent. And number 3, let's get her on All Stars.
Okay, also you have to
Come on.
RuPaul's Drag Race and World of Wonder to tell them to get me on All Stars, because I so love every day, Robbie. Every day, people ask me, "Are you going to go on All Stars? Would you go on All Stars? Are you on the next All Stars?" And I'm like, people, don't direct these questions at me. Direct them at the people who make the decisions. So
That's like asking actors when Broadway is going to open again, because they know nothing.
hi, Michael Hull.
We love Michael. We love him. Okay, so the next song on the album is the title song. Why did this become the title song of the album?
Okay. I swear I lived a whole lifetime in my parents' bathroom in grade school, like middle school, really. But in my middle school years, the music on the radio, specifically Z100, was like the soundtrack of my life, because I would go into my parents' bathroom and put on Z100 and listen to the music of the time and call my friends and play with my mom's makeup. So like I said, I literally lived a whole life in that bathroom. But this song, Lovefool, was one of my favorite songs during those years. And it always stayed with me. And we sort of fell upon it. I think this might, if I remember right, I think me approaching this song as a song to perform, I think it was Brandon James Gwynn's idea. I can't remember.
Brandon, you're here. Let us know.
I can't remember who officially said you should try this song, but once we stumbled on it, Brandon was like, I know exactly what to do with it. And he did this kind of bossa nova arrangement of it. And we did it in my first show, the first cabaret that we put together to, for 54 Below, for Feinstein's.
Brendan can't remember.
What came first, the chicken or the egg? But yeah, we started doing it right in our first year working together, and it's been a staple ever since. And when we were thinking about what the album would be called, we sort of talked about, well, it could have some other title, or it could just be, utilizing my name mostly in the title. But we agreed that Lovefool was sort of the centerpiece track. And I really liked the idea of calling the album Lovefool, because I've always felt sort of like a fool for love. Whether it's in a romanticized idea of what love is and what love looks like, or whether it's in like actuality of crushing on somebody or loving somebody, So I've always felt like love is a very central part of my psyche. So calling the album Lovefool was really natural.
So let's give him some Lovefool.
All right.
Dear, I fear we're facing a problem. You love me no longer, I know, and maybe there is nothing that I can do to make you do. Mama tells me I shouldn't bother, that I ought to stick to another man, a man that surely deserves me, but I think you do. So I cry, I pray and I beg, love me, say that you love me, fool me, go on and fool me, love me, pretend that you love me, lead me, just say that you need me. So I cry and I beg for you to love me, say that you love me, lead me, just say that you need me. I can't care about anything but you. Lately I have desperately pondered, spent my nights awake, and I wondered what I could have done in another way to make you stay. Reason will not lead to solution. I will end up lost in confusion. I don't care if you really care, as long as you don't go. So I cry, I pray and I beg, me, say that you love me. Fool me, go on and fool me. Love me, pretend that you love me. Lead me, just say that you need me. So I cry and I beg for you to love me. Say that you love me. Lead me, just say that you need me. I can't care about anything but you. Anything but you. Love me, say that you love me. Fool me, go on and fool me. Love me, I know that you need me. I can't care about anything but you.
First of all, how dare you do a wig change? I'm screaming. I want you for Ursula everywhere. Thank you so much.
I'm ready.
A lot of people are saying how much they love the music video for this.
Yes, there is a music video on YouTube that you can go watch now. Alexis Michelle Lovefool. It's directed by my friend Assad Yaqub, and we had so much fun making that. I don't know if you know this about me, Robbie, but I have a bit of a reputation.
What kind of reputation?
For loving the menses.
Yeah, that makes sense. Brandon loved recording the horns for that.
And he says
it was
Horn Day, which
Horn
is
Day.
appropriate for what we're discussing now, which is that I have a reputation for loving men.
Great.
And Assad,
This is completely new information.
Assad really ran with that part of my life and personality and proclivities, and I basically like loved / tortured these like fine muscle men in the video. So go check that out.
Yeah, it was a day. You actually sent me a cut and you were like, is this too racy for the
Hey,
video?
I've got Broadway records, this like dream of being a Broadway records recording artist, and I better make sure they're going to be okay with this racy.
And then you jump from Lovefool into like a Streisand classic.
So quick story, which I tell frequently whenever I do any song made famous by Barbara, whether I'm going to lip sync to one of her songs in a bar show,
which you very famously do.
Yes, or whether I'm going to sing one of her numbers. I usually tell this story, which is that as a youngster, I thought I was a very clever little homosexual to not be a Barbra Streisand fan. Now, here's why I think it happened, Robbie.
I'm ready.
Barbara had a difficult relationship with her mother. And I think because of that, solely because of that, my grandmother did not approve. Because to my Jewish grandmother, the mother is the most important. So I don't think my grandmother played Barbara in the house with my mom. And so my mom never grabbed onto Barbara, and thusly it was never played around me, and I never grabbed onto Barbara. Fast forward to freshman year of college at University of Michigan, go Blue. And I was hanging out at my girlfriend Megan Randolph's apartment, and she had recently, like a couple years ago in high school, played Fanny Bryce in Funny Girl. And I said, "Oh, I don't like Barbara." And she said, "Have you ever seen Funny Girl?" And I said, "No." And she said, "Sit down." And we watched it on the spot. And 5 minutes in, I was like,
"Yeah, I'm the greatest star" happens. And you go, "Yes, you are."
I was just so dumbfounded. I was like, my life has been incomplete up to this moment. And
Correct.
So I started at the beginning with Barbara recordings. I started with those recordings from the 60s.
The Barbra Streisand album, the second Barbra Streisand album, the third album.
Yes.
People. Yeah.
And I will say that's my favorite era of Barbara You know,
100% same.
the early stuff is really where it's at. I mean, I think as she went on, she continued to be a brilliant recording artist and producer, but I think she sort of decided what her sound and her brand was, and it became a little more refined. Whereas in the early days, it was definitely her sound, but it was like a fresh discovery. And it's almost like she hadn't fully become aware of like what it was she was putting out. Like she clearly had exceptional control over her voice at this young age, but
it
yeah,
was that belt with abandon.
Yeah. There was such a like, I'm gonna put it all out on the floor. My
Just
heart
raw and stunning. Yeah. So this is.
I've always been a little shy to sing Barbara tunes because I could never. But
you do.
But I do sometimes, and when I do, I stick to stuff that's just slightly off the path. Like I do not do "Don't Rain on My Parade." I do not do "Before the Parade Passes By." I do not do "People," because the vocal performance of her doing those numbers is so memorable, so iconic.
Sure. And
that's just not what I'm trying to do. I'm just trying to pay loving tribute to the queen of my people.
Have I stayed too long? That's okay.
I wanted the music to play on forever. Have I stayed too long at the fair? I wanted the clown to be constantly clever. Have I stayed too long at the fair? I bought me blue ribbons to tie up my hair, but I couldn't find anybody to care. The merry-go-round is beginning to slow now. Have I stayed too long at the fair? The music has stopped and the children must go now. Have I stayed too long at the fair? Oh, mother dear, I know you're very proud. Your little girl in gingham is so far above the crowd. No, daddy dear, you never could have known that I would be successful, yet so very much alone. I wanted to live in a carnival city with laughter and love everywhere. I wanted my friends to be thrilling and witty. I wanted somebody to care. I found my blue ribbons all shiny and new, but now I discover them no longer blue. The merry-go-round is beginning to taunt me. Have I stayed too long at the fair? There's nothing to win, and there's no one to want me. Have I stayed too long at the fair?
Oh, come on. Come on.
One of my favorite tunes that I fully learned from listening to her.
My mom says you have a beautiful voice, so.
Oh my goodness. Thank you.
She knows what's up.
Thank you so much.
She knows what's up. All right, so let's talk about Drag Race for a minute.
Okay.
Because you were the Broadway queen of Drag Race.
Yeah.
And tonight is actually the Resumion for the current. You're welcome. I've coined it. They're going to use it. I don't care.
I think it's public knowledge because I read it somewhere that it's a slumber party. They're going to come in.
Yeah. Well, you have a drag daughter who competed this season.
Yes, Jan Sport, the one and only, who has theatrical roots, just like me. But the truth is, I think Jan has really sort of sashayed into the pop oeuvre, as it
It's a
were.
French word. Good for you.
And I think she's truly, truly one of the strongest singers to ever go on Drag Race. And I'm so proud of her and so impressed with the run that she had on the show. Should have gone further, for sure.
I agree with you. What was it like for you watching her go through the experience, having done it yourself?
So, real talk, Robbie, when we got back from filming, we had iced coffee. And she sort of...
I'm familiar.
She laid it out for me, how it all went. And she seemed proud of how she'd done, but seemed a little confused about how she'd been received at moments and ultimately when she was eliminated. And I thought to myself back then, I gave her a good pep talk and I said, don't worry, you're going to be fine. You are beautiful. You are talented. Everybody's going to love you. And we do. But I thought in my head, well, it sounds like maybe it didn't go quite how she wanted or how she thought it was going to go. And so now she's trying to make heads or tails of it. But when I watched it, I shared every bit of her confusion because right in the beginning, she kills her first challenge and they're giving her criticism that's like, well, why would you come into a competition and try to show us everything?
Why wouldn't you? Listen, we have a burning question about Drag Race right here.
Is Britta from New York?
And is Britta from New York?
I don't know. Anybody know? Is Britta from New York?
I can't seem to find it.
I think maybe. I seem to recall hearing that she is.
You've heard tell of the Britta of New York.
Maybe. No, Britta and I go way back. Britta came onto the drag scene as a baby drag queen at the same time I got my name out there, and actually at the same time as my best friend Dusty Ray Bottoms came onto the scene. I had been doing drag a lot longer than those girls, those sisters of mine. But we all came onto the New York scene at the same moment. And all three of us were nominated for Nightlife Glam Award Breakthrough Artist in the same year. We were a really tight trio, the three of us. And things changed, things happened, some stuff went down, and it sort of, it changed our dynamic. And it had an impact, an impact on sort of relationships outside of that trio as well. And it is what it is. There was a time I was really bent out of shape about it, but as time made that happen, time has softened things and we move on. And Britta is a super fierce and talented queen.
She's very talented.
And
Dusty Ray.
Yes.
Dusty Ray is on one of our albums. She's on the Cleopatra Cast album on Broadway Records.
Yes.
So both of you.
Incredible. And, Dusty is one of the most unique and inspiring queens I've ever known. And frankly, I tell this to people all the time. I thought Dusty would get on Drag Race before me. Just because she's so fresh and has always inspired me.
Well, you had a fantastic run on the show. Who are you rooting for? I have to ask that.
Yeah. So, I met and worked with Jada Essence Hall at some point during my touring time, post show. And as soon as I saw this girl, I was like the most beautiful creature I'd ever seen. And
stunning.
she
was, look over there.
Yeah. And she is equally as lovely and nice and fun as she is beautiful. And we even like went out in a group to dinner after the show. So I adore her and have definitely been rooting for her all season. And I would love to see Jada Essence Hall crowned. That being said, somebody wrote an article recently about how this is the strongest top 3 we've had since season 6. And I really thought back.
Yeah, they're not wrong.
To the seasons between season 6 and now. And I think I agree that I'd be truly happy with any one of these 3 girls winning. Because Gigi has killed it all season and she is a truly inspired queen. I love her references. I love her looks and I love her talent. She's not just a look queen. She's a real star. And the amazing thing about Crystal is I fell in love with Crystal instantly, as I think everybody watching did. I have a crush on Crystal. But Crystal's definitely been the dark horse of the competition. Her personality and talents have shown through, but she really only started, really being at the front, like the true. Well, no, she was in the top several times, but her came right toward the end of the season. So she was like sort of the sneak attack of the season. And I don't know if you've paid attention to the sort of fan numbers, the fan vote.
Yeah, she's the one winning them.
But the fans seem to want Crystal to win. So I am so interested to see how this turns out. Right. All
right. So let's move on to the next song of the album, which is a Beatles song.
Oh, so I just quickly want to say that the inspiration for this, to do this number and for the arrangement, came from my favorite Aretha Franklin album, which is called Rare and Unreleased Recordings of Aretha's. And this is a track that I guess hadn't been put out on a one of her proper albums, and it is a gem. The whole album is a gem. Aretha Franklin, Rare and Unreleased. Check it out and check out this her version of this song, and it's really where the arrangement of this came from.
Well, here we go.
With a foolish grin is keeping perfectly still. Nobody wants to know him. They can see he's just a fool. He never gives an answer, but the fool on the hill sees the sun going down, and the eyes in his head see the world spinning round. Well on the way, head in a cloud, the man of 1,000 voices talking perfectly loud. Nobody ever hears him. The sound he appears to make, he never seems to notice, but the fool on the hill sees the sun going down, and the eyes in his head see the world spinning round. Oh yeah. Nobody seems to like him. They can tell never shows his feelings, but the fool on the hill sees the sun going down, and the eyes in his head see the world spinning round. He never listens to them. He knows that they're the fools. They don't like him, but the fool on the hill sees the sun going down, and the eyes in his head see the world spinning round. Oh yeah.
Fool on the Hill. Gorgeous.
I also, of course, love the Beatles. And,
Sure.
you know, I always liked that song, but the song never spoke to me the way it did until I heard Aretha do it.
I'm running out and downloading it right after we finish this. So
good. I shouldn't have told people because, again, I could never.
But you did, and it exists. You know what I'm saying? You could never. You did.
Sometimes,
That's what I'm saying.
you know,
We are both loved by Miriam Kuchel. So
Oh, Miriam. So
she went to college where I grew up, so I've known her for years.
and then she went to grad school where I went to grad. Really funny story about Miriam. Because somebody on my live while I was doing my makeup said, I've never worn fake eyelashes. Do they impair your vision? And I said, no, they don't really impair your vision, but they can be heavy and sort of, they're a bit to get used to if you're not, if you're not used to them. And as I answered that, I was thinking of Miriam because I did Miriam's hair and makeup for a concert once. She's got the most glorious voice, of course.
Big soprano, beautiful. Big soprano voice.
And so I put lashes on her and she said, oh, I have to sing with my glasses, otherwise I can't see and it's disorienting. So I put these lashes on her and she put her glasses on and said, oh, I don't know if I can do, if I can do the lashes. They feel very heavy. It's not a good feeling. And I was like, and I think I was like, yeah, well, I mean, it's up to you, but like either you just get used to them or you don't wear them, and that's a choice you make. And then she like held up a mirror and she looked at them and she was like, I'll get used to them.
That's correct. That's correct. Also correct is the next song.
Pardon?
Also correct is the next song on this record because it's some Blondie.
It's Blondie, and it's again indicative of how I feel about the Menses.
Color me your color, baby. Color me your car. Color me your color, darling. I know who you are. Come up off your color chart. I know where you're coming from. Call me on the line. Call me anytime. Call me, I'll arrive. You can call me any day or night. Call me languages of love. Ooh, amore, chiamami, chiamami. Ooh, appelle-moi, mon chéri, appelle-moi. Anytime, any place, anywhere, anywhere. Anytime, any place, anywhere, any day. Call me, my love, call me anytime. Call me on the line, you can call me anytime. Call me, I'll arrive, you can call me any day or night. Call me on the line, call me anytime. Call me.
Come on.
One of my
Okay.
faves on the album. Brandon says it's a Muppet sax section.
Yeah, he said, I love these Muppet sax lines.
Yes.
Come on. And we also have a question. The album cover is beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
What inspired it?
So I have, I'm going to go ahead and open up. This is a fresh copy with the condom on it. So I'm going to go ahead and open this one. So I have always been a fan of old Hollywood glamour. It's sort of like, I'd say, the leading aesthetic, the aesthetic I lead with in my drag career, as you can tell now.
Yeah.
So because, even though Lovefool is the title track and that's like a 90s pop song, we gave it this kind of treatment. Brandon gave it this arrangement that could have been like, played in the 40s in Havana, Cuba, when Sky and Sarah go down for milkshakes. So we wanted the artwork to be reflective of this, like, even though I do a lot of pop material on here, that it still is like pop material with the Alexis Michelle treatment. And so this beautiful cover and back image is David Allion, who is one of the best drag photographers out there. This is also his beautiful shot. And then these beautiful shots are my friend James Michael Evans, who is when James shoots me, I am #not worried. Being detail oriented and being a bit of a perfectionist, sometimes I'm a little nervous being photographed. And whenever James shoots me, I'm not nervous. I know it's going to be fine. It's going to be more than fine. It's going to be probably my favorite photos of me ever.
So I designed the album.
Yes, you did.
You sent me all, like, you just shot me a Dropbox of photos, and I was like, these. I really gravitated towards them. They're so beautiful.
You incorporated them so beautifully. The way you laid everything out was so gorgeous. And I think, so probably the inspiration for it to have this sort of purple theme came from you based on this photograph, right?
Sure did. Yeah. And I wanted it to feel like an old record because, like, your whole vibe is sort of like a throwback, like a retro thing.
Yeah.
I wanted it to feel like that, which is also why we put it in a cardboard sleeve. So it's almost like opening a record, like a gatefold.
Right.
Instead of, come on.
Another one of James's photos. And I love that you did this centerfold. This is this is my fave. Here's another boudoir shot by James. So basically all of the purple sort of principal artwork is David, and then the rest of the sort of pin-up-y photos, throwbacky photos, are James Michael Evans. And this one in particular is a favorite photo because this is very much like my I'm going into Chicago press.
There is. That's your Roxy Hart moment.
And we're waiting for that to happen.
Yeah, Marty Thomas is.
Thank you, Marty.
We love Marty Thomas.
Broadway star and divas expert.
Mm-hmm. He knows what's up.
Even though I look like I could be going into do Velma or Roxy here, the truth is I feel it is in my destiny to play Mama in Chicago.
So let's talk about dream roles.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
Mama's a great example of one. And, you know, it's a little bit like this in Chicago because, of course, there is a drag role in Chicago, you know, in Mary Sunshine. And I can sing that, but other people sing it better.
This could never is what you're saying?
This could used to. This did in college and beyond, but I would have to work back to that. But I think that the trouble with putting a queen, somebody like me, into Chicago is that it's actually a plot point that we see this drag character who we don't realize necessarily, you know, depending on your awareness, we don't realize is it somebody in drag until close to the end of Act 2. Now, my feeling about playing Mama Morton is that over the last 3-4 years of my drag career, I have discovered about myself that I am not just a man and that I am not just a woman. And that means for me, what it means for me is that I think I hang out somewhere in the middle and appreciate and feel comfortable in different expressions. So I call myself gender fluid. And that's just how I identify. And so I feel that there are parts traditionally played by women that I could play. And it's as simple as this is the kind of woman I am. And there doesn't need to be an explanation of it. It doesn't need to be commented on. It's like, no, this is how I present. So other roles that I see myself sliding right on into like that are Madame Morrible in Wicked.
Yeah.
And as far as other things that aren't on the boards at the moment, I do believe it can't just be like, oh, what role do you want to play? And you'll be in drag playing it. I think there needs to be a reason. And one that I think would make a hell of a lot of sense is Mrs. Lovett in Sweeney Todd.
Truly, was just thinking that in my head.
Because she's this spinster, you know, all she really wants is a child and a man and a nice peaceful life by the sea. And those are all things I want.
Yeah.
So anyway, I think that could be a really cool artistic choice where it's like, oh, Lovett is actually like this man, like, you know, queer man, like hiding in society in a busted pie shop wearing heavy makeup.
Why not though? Why not?
Or perhaps, you know, she's gender fluid, or perhaps she's trans, and to be trans in that era was very different than being trans in this era.
100%.
And similarly, another sort of lover of children that I think would make sense as a drag queen would be Miss Hannigan.
Yep. That's actually been done on West End.
Yeah.
On West End, like I live there.
I would love to live there. I would love to do theater in the West End.
Please give it to me. I would love to do theater anywhere, honestly.
Hashtag me too.
You're actually the next song on the album. The next song on the album is from City of Angels, which I was supposed to go to London and see last week with Vanessa Williams, see her on West End. So it strangely all ties together. This is some City of Angels, a little You Can Always Count on Me.
I'm one of a long line of good girls who choose the wrong guy to be sweet on. The girl with a face that says welcome, that men can wipe their feet on. I'm there when he calls me the trusted girl Friday, all right. but what good does it do me alone on a Saturday night? I don't need a map, I naturally head for the dead end street. You can always count on me. I'm caught in a trap when joy is approaching, then I retreat. I'm at home with misery. I've been the other woman since my puberty began. I crashed the junior prom and met the only married man. I'm always on tap for romance or chocolate that's bittersweet. You can always count on me. A matter of fact, if you want an ill-fated love affair, you can always count on me. Though I've made a pact to carry out research before I care, men don't give a warranty. One Joe who swore he's single got me sorta crocked the beast. I woke up only slightly shocked that I defrocked a priest. Or else I attract the guys who are longing to do my hair. You can always count on me. I go for the riff-raff who's treating me so-so. When I can play the second fiddle, I'm a virtuoso. I should be playing for a wedding band, but there's no wedding rings attached. Though you can bet there's strings attached. Though my kind of dame no doubt will die out like the dinosaurs, you can always count on me. I'm solely to blame, my head gives advice that my heart ignores. I'm my only enemy. I choose the kind who cannot introduce the girlies with. There's lots of smirking motel clerks who call me Mrs. Smith, but I've made a name with hotel detectives who break down doors. Guess who they expect to see? You can always count on, bet a large amount on. You can always count on me.
Yay!
Come on, trumpets.
Welcome, George, to the listening
Welcome.
party.
So you got that dog right before Core, right?
Yeah, it wasn't like a quarantine panic pet adoption.
An emotional support pet.
I have been dying for ages, years, to have a dog again. It's my third dog that I've had. Mm-hmm. And it just so happened that I finally took the plunge a week before quarantine happened. And when it all went down, I was like, thank God I got this dog when I did, because I would have been all alone in this apartment and very sad.
How have you, so the question you're getting everywhere, but like, how have you been dealing with this time? Because you can't go out and play clubs or anything like that like you normally would. Well,
the first part of dealing with it is this guy. Not only is he a lovey-dovey mush-mush, lipstick. He's really great. He's a great companion, but the simple structure of a dog's schedule of getting up early, feeding and walking him several times a day has gotten me outside to get some fresh air and move my body a little bit so that I'm not just like permanently glued to the couch. So that's been really, really helpful. Been cooking a lot. I love to cook. Although I'm sick of doing dishes.
What are you cooking?
I've been making roast chickens with vegetables and pot roast.
Where's that Instagram series?
I know, right? I want like a lifestyle show that sort of crosses all of these, parts of life. Sort of think like a Rachel Ray-esque show where there's a cooking segment, then we interview someone, then we do the makeup tips, then maybe I sing a song,
I live. We would all live. Look at us. I can't. I'm melting. You're making me melt. Okay. So the next song is a pairing. Some Maury Esten and some Stephen Sondheim. Talk to me about this arrangement because it's so good.
Here's how it happened. This was a brilliant Brandon James Gwynn creation. And the way it happened was we were looking at, in a cabaret as well. You've done many a cabaret yourself.
A couple.
we all know that moment in the show where we've entertained, we've had some laughs, we've explored this, we've explored that. We all know that moment in the show where we bring it down a little bit and perhaps explore some of the sad or darker feelings that come up.
I call it the ballad K-hole. I like to do it third song in to just lift them back up.
Oh, you do? Interesting. I like it. I like it more in like the beginning of the fourth inning.
Okay. Is that a sports ball thing?
That's a sports ball thing, and it's actually a poor way to describe it because baseball can go on for 8 innings, so that suggests I put it in the middle of the show. What I meant to say is it's halfway through Act 2.
Okay, so near the 11 o'clock, but not.
But not, because 11 o'clock we want to be at least a bit more confident or triumphant, even if it's dark.
You got to come back from there.
Right. So anyway, the way this song came to be was both of them kind of hit this emotional mark of love and loss. And we looked at both of them and we agreed, okay, we're not going to do both. It needs to be one or the other. And then Brandon said, wait just a second. They were both in the same key. And so he said, hang on, they're both in the same key. How's this? And he put it together right in front of my eyes.
Oh, don't you love those moments when your brilliant MD is like, I have a thought grape, and they just squish it and wine comes out.
And let's listen to it, and then I'll share my favorite part of his arrangement.
Guys, here is Simple Good Thing Going.
It started out like a song. We started quiet and slow with no surprise. And then one morning I woke to realize we had a good thing going. It's not that nothing went wrong. Some angry moments, of course, but just a few. And only moments, no more, because we knew we had a good thing going. Simple these affairs that touch the heart. Simple are the ways of love. Simple as the touch of another's hand. Simple enough for anyone to understand. But you. And if I wanted too much, was that such a mistake at the time? You never wanted enough. All right, tough, I don't make that a crime. Simple are the ways we come apart. Simple as a baby's new. Simple as a tree and as simple as a cloud. It's as simple as the simplest things have always been. Simple as the sun and the moon and the stars in the sky. Simple are the ways we say goodbye. while it's going along. You take for granted some love will wear away. We took for granted a lot, but still I say it could have kept on growing instead of just kept on. We had a good thing going, going on.
Favorite track on the album?
So my favorite moment of that arrangement was, and this happened, like I said, on the first moment when Brandon just made it happen before my eyes and ears. He was like, okay, we'll do this, and we'll do this, and we'll do this, and we'll do this, and then we'll come back to this at the end, and then you'll say, we had a good thing going, going. Wait, that's how it ends, right? Anyway, he did that, but then the accompaniment right under the end of the write out is simple, even though we're on the Merrily lyrics.
Mm-hmm.
And right at the end, he jumps back to the Merrily write out.
Yeah.
Bum, bum, ba-da-dum. And I was like, oh my God. And I think I cried right on the spot. And it was just so brilliant. And
we have 3 excellent questions in one long run on from Matt. So, where did you find such an incredible band to back you up? What was the recording process like? And how did you choose the songs you covered?
So the song choices were a really kind of organic and ongoing thing. There were some like both Simple and Good Thing Going, for example, were 2 that I brought to Brandon, and I was like, these are 2 options. I know we probably won't do both unless we put them in a mashup. But those are examples of ones that I brought to the table. We'll talk a little bit about song choice with the last track, but for the most part, it's a song that either has been a part of my life for a long time, or just one that I knew. Oh, Brandon's crying. I'm not crying. Brandon's crying. So in some cases. In some cases, they were songs that have been with me for a long time, and in some cases, they were songs that we were just sort of looking for the right spot in a show, and we thought, oh, what about this? Or I brought it to the table, and I said, oh, well, that's one I know and love. How about that? So it's a pretty organic process, and Brandon and I collaborate great together in this kind of symbiotic and back and forth nature when it comes to song selections. As far as the recording process, it was actually a pretty lengthy process. Sometimes you go in and record an album, in a matter of days, and they're usually together. But because I was in the throes of Drag Race touring, we were not able to work in that condensed, focused fashion. So I want to say it was like maybe December of this came out, what did you say, in 2018?
2 years ago.
2018.
Yeah.
In December of 2017, we went into the studio, and this was before the musicians had recorded, and we just laid down one pass at the vocals and Brandon playing on the piano, and we did it together. So Brandon was in one part of the studio playing, I was in a vocal booth, and we did one pass at at all the vocals. And then it wasn't until January and February where I came in, we had at least 2 or 3 vocal days. And I think that we got everything done in those days because I was traveling a lot. And then Brandon worked with our incredible engineer, Roman, even while I was on the road. And they'd send me bounces of the tracks and I would sort of give my feedback on them. And then I think we had a final session, the 3 of us together in the studio, fine-tuning things and just adjusting little things that needed tweaks. So that's the process was long. It was probably from December to, I would say, February or March. So it was several months. And the instruments, as I said, the band was brilliantly assembled by Brandon. These are all industry friends of his who he's played in shows with, who he's pulled for other people's solo shows. And he has a dynamic network of people who he loves working with who speak the same language.
It's fantastic. It's just gorgeous.
There was something that I wanted to say. Oh, just because we've been talking a bit about Drag Race and, you mentioned All Stars and you asked me about my thoughts on season 12 and I gave a little history of Britta and Dusty and I. Here is some food for thought. If you want to see some real, unproduced, authentic, real-life drama, put Dusty Ray Bottoms, Britta Filter, Alexis Michelle, and Jan Sport on the same season of All Stars and see what happens.
I live. Second to last song, The Muppets.
I actually performed this song last night in my Stage It show, which was called I Feel So Much Spring, Broadway nerd.
Yeah. Oh, come on, some Liam Finn.
Called I Feel So Much Spring.
I had asked you, is this how you are being seen right now because you're in quarantine? Is this how you're still creating content?
Yeah, so it's been a variety of things. I feel very, very blessed that Dragnificent got to air while everybody was chained to their sofas. I think it helped just sort of build our audience and help people grab onto it. And it was really the kind of wholesome, feel-good content that we needed right now. So I feel very blessed that people have been able to watch Dragnificent during quarantine. I feel blessed I was able to watch Dragnificent during quarantine.
It was wonderful.
It was what I needed.
Season 2.
Week after week. So again, if people want to check that out, they can watch it on the TLC Go app. And I believe it might be on some other platforms, but I couldn't tell you which.
So you've been performing on Stage It.
So I've been doing these live shows. It's called the Digital Drag Fest, and last night was my 3rd show as part of the Digital Drag Fest. And then I do, little live Instagram things like I did. Yes, follow me at Alexis Lives on all platforms, Instagram, Twitter, Venmo. And like tonight at 6:00, I'll be doing a special sort of lip sync listen party for Alma's new album, which is out now, and it's really great. And so and join me right after this on my Instagram Live for that. And yeah, it's just sort of been taking what you can get, truthfully. Any little bit that comes in, I'm like, yes, I'm hashtag available.
Let's listen to a little bit of Rainbow Connection.
For you, I just wanted to say the reason that I sang it last night and the reason it feels so right for now is something that Brandon actually pointed out to me about this song. I think, I don't remember again who had the first instinct for me to perform this song, but when we looked at it, Brandon said, this is one of my favorite songs. And even though it was written for children, for the Muppets, for Kermit King, it has a very realistic lyric. it is not a sugar-coated message to kids. It's like sometimes life isn't easy. Sometimes life isn't perfect. The prime example of this it sort of does not pander or talk down to the kids. And the favorite example of that kind of lyric writing is somebody thought of that and someone believed it, and look what it's done so far. And the look what it's done so far, that can both be a positive thing that's happened, or it can be a negative thing that's happened. And so it's a really sophisticated and honest lyric, even though it was written for kids, which I appreciate.
Love. All right, so Rainbow Connection.
Why are there so many songs about rainbows, and what's on the other side? Rainbows are visions, but only illusions, and rainbows have nothing to hide. So we've been told, and some choose to believe it. I know they're wrong, wait and see. Someday we'll find it, the rainbow connection, the lovers, the dreamers, and me. Who said that every wish would be heard and answered when wished on that morning star? Somebody thought of that, and someone believed it, and look what it's done so far. What's so amazing that keeps us stargazing, and what do we think we might see? Someday we'll find it, the rainbow connection, the lovers, the dreamers, and me. All of us under its spell, we know that it's probably magic. Have you been half asleep, and have you heard voices? I've heard them calling my name. Is this the sweet sound that calls the young sailors? The voice might be one and the same. I've heard it too many times to ignore it. It's something that I'm supposed to be. Someday we'll find it, the rainbow connection, the lovers, the dreamers, and me. La da da dee da da da, la da 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 da, dee da da.
Hi.
So, hi. I just want to address something has happened to the stream in Facebook. I don't know why, but you know, everybody in the world's on the internet right now, which is making everything happen like that. We are still going on YouTube. It's nice and live and around, just so everyone knows. And
I'm letting a couple people know.
Good, great.
Still going on
YouTube.
So they just go to the Broadway Records page.
Yep. And again, I'm sorry. Don't know why it happened. I wish I had a better answer. But we're still going. We have one song left. The final song of the record.
So, Matt wanted to know earlier about song selection, and this is my favorite example of how you sort of pick music for an album or for a live show that you're putting together. So, music, as we all know, it's so tied to our emotional lives and the experiences we have in life. And I was on the road touring post Drag Race, and I met a guy on my first trip to New Orleans, and I totally fell for this guy. And I went back to visit him and stay with him for a while. And I remember we were in a pool in the hotel where I had taken a room. And did you have a good dinner? He just had his dinner.
Oh.
We were in this pool, and I could hear the cover band up on the roof of the hotel playing Ramblin' Man by the Allman Brothers. And I've always liked the song. Certainly never thought about it for me, certainly not for me in my drag persona. But it just, that moment was cemented in my mind. It's like, I'll never forget this moment, and that song playing along with the moment. And so I think the next morning I texted Brandon and I said, hey, you know what song I want us to do? Ramblin' Man. And he said, by the Allman Brothers? He thought I was crazy. And I said, yep, I want to do it. And I have a problem sometimes with being too married to original versions or recordings of things. So I wanted it to sound kind of like the up-tempo Ramblin' Man that the Allman Brothers did. But Brandon said, let me try something with it. And he made the most gorgeous arrangement. And so for me, I would actually say this is probably my favorite track on the album. This is why you give Brandon James Gwen crazy ideas, because you get arrangements like this.
Ramblin' Man.
Lord, I was born a rambling man, trying to make a living and doing the best I can. When it's time for leaving, hope you'll understand that I was born a rambling man. My father was a gambler down in Georgia, and he wound up on the wrong end of a gun. I was born in the backseat of a Greyhound bus, rolling down Highway 41. Lord, I was born a rambling man, trying to make a living and doing the best I can. When it's time for leaving, I hope you'll understand that I was born a rambling man. I'm on my way to New Orleans this morning, leaving out of Nashville, Tennessee. They're always having a good time down on the bayou, Lord. Them Delta men just think the world of me. Lord, I was born a rambling man, trying to make a living and doing the best I can. And when it's time for leaving, I hope you'll understand that I was born a rambling man. That I was born a rambling man.
And that's the album. That's Lovefool.
I love it so much, and I loved sort of closing it out with that, because there's even the way the arrangement ends, it doesn't have like a real definitive finish. It sort of like just goes out into the ether and just sort of floats away, and that's sort of
rambles away.
Again, sort of how I feel about love, is it's sort of ever coming and going and evolving and changing. Yeah.
I love it so much. I love this album so much. Guys, Lovefool, get into it. Learn it, live it, love it. That's what I'm saying to you.
And I look forward to our, hopefully our next Broadway Records album together.
Yeah.
The way that this collection of music came was really from an assortment of live shows, and we are planning a new set of live shows for late October and November. Fingers crossed we get to be there all together at Feinstein's 54 Below and do those shows. But I think in the past I have shied away. As I mentioned, I like to mix it up with pop material. But I think I have shied away from being my most unabashed theater self.
Mm.
And the show that we are putting together for the fall is probably going to be my most, this is who I am. I am that theater bitch.
Good.
And so it will be very much in line with the Broadway Records brand, because it's probably going to be all show music, and really like a sort of tour of the great leading ladies of the theater.
Are you going to put Jam Tomorrow in there?
Probably not. However, Jam Tomorrow, Jam Yesterday is a featured link on my Instagram page. So go check
guys. It out. That concert was insane. We had the best time.
So
that little girl didn't even blink at you.
No, she was great.
Any young girl who just looks up and does not blink at your hair was so big, and she was just like, yeah, okay, cool. What's next? We wrapped it. When's my break? Oh, brilliant. Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you, Robbie.
We just love you. Siri loves you and just spoke to me, so that's exciting. I adore you. What do you want to say to the kids as we close this out?
I encourage everybody. It's sort of like contradictory bit of wisdom for the time that we're in, which is I encourage you to dive into something, whatever it is. If you're artistic, dive into your art. If you're into cooking, if you're into yoga, whatever you're into, dive into it. This is a time to feed your soul and look after yourself and practice self-care. But on the same token, don't feel pressured and don't feel badly if like you need to take a day off or if you need to take a week off. Mm-hmm. I think self-care is the name of the game right now. And so whether that means learning some songs that you want to sing or doing your makeup or making a recipe, or maybe it means getting glued to the couch for a few days, do whatever it is that you need. Because I don't know exactly what life is going to look like after this, but it will look like something closer to what we knew before. And there is no shame in needing to take some time off. And of course, being productive can be wonderful for the soul too. So do whatever it is you need to be doing right now to look after yourself. And if that involves listening to Lovefool, I highly recommend it.
Honestly, it should be every 3 times a day. You should listen to Lovefool.
This is food for the soul.
Yeah, I agree. Wear your masks, wash your hands, register to vote. And we'll see you guys on the other side.
What are we going to do in November, Robbie? We're going to vote. We're going to vote. It's the most important. Unfortunately, it's the most important election of my lifetime so far.
Mm-hmm. You need to get a mail-in ballot. Email for that, or mail for that now.
Do it.
Anyway, I love you, Alexis. I can't wait to hug you again.
Yeah.
And we love you. Thank you so much for watching. Follow us at Broadway Records, at B-Way Records, because we're going to keep these going. We're lining up some great ones. And go get Lovefool. Go get Lovefool. You heard it. You know you love it. If you already have it, give it a 5-star on iTunes so people know.
And if if you're listening to it digitally on Spotify or iTunes, and you want this beautifully designed album, CD and cover designed by Robbie, I think maybe you guys still have do you still have any signed copies for sale?
We've got some signed copies. You can get it signed.
So there's signed copies on BroadwayRecords.com, and you can also reach out to me through Instagram DM, and I'm sending signed copies out.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Guys, this has been Lovefool. Thank you so much. Have a great Memorial Day weekend in your house. And we will all see you really soon. Bye.
Love you.